Hello, everyone. I am so thrilled to see this wonderful group here together. And thank you so much for taking the time to be part of the Lilly Leadership Institute AI and Customer Engagement Conference. It really means a lot that you would take the time to join us. And in addition to this wonderful group of people that we have here in person in Oxford, we have with us many people who are joining us virtually via live stream. And I want to thank some of our folks here who are our students who are making that possible. Thanks to the AV team. We appreciate it. So hard to believe, but the Institute is now over 13 years old. And I guess first and foremost, I want to share what it really is. You know, we talk about all these leadership things and skills and blah, blah, blah. It's really a community, a learning community. And in this learning community, you never leave. It's not something that is just for when you're in college. It's forever. And we have friends with lots of experience that weren't actually in the Institute, but they have become friends forever. So what we're about is trying to evolve as human beings and leaders and to help each other throughout the rest of our careers. So that's what we really are. And that's why today is very special, because we get to bring together this whole group. And it's so, I can't tell you the joy it brings me as I look and I see the alumni of the Institute that were former students. We have business leaders from all kinds of industries here. Of course, we have many friends from Eli Lilly and Company that have joined us. And we even have family of some of our current students. So, and I want to thank people from Miami's administration, faculty, and staff, and our other friends who have all taken out of their busy days to come together. And I hope that you'll get a chance at the reception to meet each other. You know, when you have a wonderful group of friends, you know how you want them to meet each other and you know that it's going to be great? That's what I want for this group. So I have a lot of thanking to do. I have to thank our donors. As everyone knows, we are supported completely by our donors. And I want to, of course, thank Eli Lilly and Company, because we would not exist without them. So thank you. And I have to look around a lot because there are several people here. I'll also say thank you to our partner who we started with, and we have someone here who was with Lockheed Martin at the time. So I also want to thank Lockheed Martin because they helped us in the very beginning. And I want to thank all our donors, our alums and friends and everyone help us out. So when in part of something we do, it's called Move in Miami, and we're lucky enough to work with some of the advancement people that make that possible. And so they help make this work for us. And I want to thank, well, I especially want to thank the Career Center. And we happen to have a representative of the Career Center there with that camera, yes. So the Career Center at Miami is really great, and they do so many things for us. Photography is not the official reason that they're here, but this happens to be a wonderful person that we have a close relationship. But they help us by arranging mock interviews with business people for our students. They train them on interviewing, and they even provide a small grant to make our reception possible. So huge thank you to the parts of Miami that help us like that. And I want to thank our adjunct instructor, and I'm looking at the camera for this because Tony Sumrall is in San Jose, and he spends innumerable hours helping the students in different ways. And you're going to see some project ideas that the students have come up with for today's conference. And he was kind enough to be a mentor for them on all those projects. So thank you, and thanks to all the many business people who come and speak to our students. We have many people that present, and that brings the real world to them. You get a great education in college, but there's another part of the world that's for after college, and they bring that wisdom, so we certainly appreciate that. Well, now I have to say, I want to introduce you all to Jody Boyle. So see Jody in that lovely pink jacket? Jody is the assistant director of the Leadership Institute, so I will say it this way, also the other half. It's the two of us, okay? But Jody is the one who did all the work to make this happen. So big, big, big thank yous to you, Jody. And I know there's a person in the audience who really appreciates how much work it is, and that's Karen Moss, because she's a former assistant director, and many of the alums know Karen, and you remember what it's like to put on this conference. So thank you, thank you. And most importantly, I want to thank the students. So first of all, I'd like to ask cohort 12, our juniors, to stand up and be recognized. They are the ones that are most instrumental in putting on this conference. So thank you. Thanks very much. And we also have with us today people from cohort 13. These are our sophomores, and cohort 11, and they're in their very last semester of the Leadership Institute. So if all of you could stand up, I'd appreciate it. So these are amazing people. I'm very lucky in my job that I get to meet amazing people and then follow them throughout their careers. And I know this is going to make our alums feel a little old, but we are now just starting to recruit cohort 14. And you'll see little cringes among the alums because they're like, oh, I was 4, I was this, I was that. I'm like, how can that be? And some of our folks that are in this process to be potential candidates for the Leadership Institute are joining us, and it'll be at the reception. So please welcome them and make them feel, that they're going to be part of this community. So the topic for today is artificial intelligence. And you remember that our conference last year was about embracing artificial intelligence. So you might say, why does that matter? Well, it matters because artificial intelligence is one of the important things going on in the world. And there's always more happening. Something you might not know is that the topic of artificial intelligence is actually the university's theme for this academic year, not just us. So we're kind of embracing that. We're staying on the same topic, and we're part of a whole series of things that are happening across the university. So just a few weeks ago, there was an AI symposium that was very successful that many of you here were key players in. And of course, we're having our conference. And I also want to mention that there's something coming up April 25th that's going to be at McGuffey from like 8 to 1. It's called the Create Conference. And it's going to be very interactive with lots of things where you can get involved with AI type projects. And what they're trying to do is to focus on equity, critical thinking, and practical innovation. That's going to highlight how AI can really make a difference in education, health, and society. So many, many things are happening across the university, and we're excited to be part of that. So why did we choose the customer engagement part? Because we wanted to focus. And as we do almost all the time, is we go out and ask business people, what are you thinking about? What's important? What's the next step? And what we heard was, okay, so there's AI maybe that we all use to improve our writing or make our presentations, or, you know, I use it to make the charts. And of course, you know, with coding and all these things, it's just fabulous. But they said, how can it actually make a positive difference for customers, like end-use customers? And I thought, you know, that's great, because it's moving forward, and that's how all the investments and everything are going to pay for themselves when it makes that difference. So that's how we have our topic. And we do have a great program for you today. And I know that sounds corny, because all those late night hosts always say that every night, and you think, oh, come on. But actually, it's true. We have a great program for you today. And to kick it off, I'm going to ask a close friend of the Institute, Charlie Haddad, who's the Vice President IT and Chief Enterprise Business Architect. I had to read that. It doesn't like flow right off, but most of you know Charlie, because he has spoken to our cohorts from the very beginning and has been a wonderful friend. And we certainly thank Charlie because he's made our partnership possible. Charlie is a Miami University alum, and he's also a systems analysis major, a little after me. And he has spoken to many of you, and one of the reasons that has been important to me is I think he is a wonderful role model to be a great leader. So I'm going to just turn it over to Charlie.
Thank you, Louise. It's always a pleasure to be back, and I'm so excited to be back at Miami today for this conference on AI and engaging with customers. As the executive sponsor of the Lilly Leadership Institute at Lilly, I get the pleasure of partnering with Louise on how do we think about the work that's happening in this program and all of the great effort to create a much more robust, balanced, rich education for all of the students here. And you know, I think that's been demonstrated many times over the years in the ability of this program to be able to produce great, talented leaders who can figure out this combination between business and technology, but more importantly, do it with both passion and compassion, which I think is really a trait that all of the graduates of the program have, and I see many of them out in the audience, and we can see the great work that you guys have done through the course of your career already. So thank you, Louise, for everything you're doing in this wonderful program. The second thing, or the other group that I would also like to thank here at the end of the thanking, is cohort 12. So I think I saw cohort 12 as like in this area and this area. Okay, so everybody in cohort 12, sit up a little bit more straight. Put a smile on. Pat yourself on the back. 5 months ago or 6 months ago, you decided that you were going to put this conference on, and it's here. And before you get through the rest of it, you've got more work to do. Your tasks aren't done. You've been on task a lot. Just thank yourself for everything you've done to get here, and you should be proud of all you've put together today. Okay? So congratulations to you. But now back to task, because we're not done. We're just starting. So if I think about this topic, AI for consumers, it ties in right directly to the mission of Lilly, which is we are a medicines company focused on translating science into healing for people around the world. And today, and in today's world, that can't happen without AI. We have AI throughout every part of our business, from the way that we do research, from adding more quality to our products so that we can help find issues with products before they get out into the market, helping us with efficiency and speed, and helping us engage with our customers. And so for today's topic, which is engaging our customers, a few examples of things that we are focused on within Lilly. One would be our work in our digital health research space, where we use device data on consumer devices to help us understand how people are progressing in their health in the real world, and how we can use that data through machine learning models to predict when someone needs to be taking medication. So how do we make our product better? Another example is how do we make the understanding of our product better? And that is, if you've ever taken medicine, you've seen a label, this or a package insert. And if you've got a box and you unfold the thing, it turns out to be this very large piece of paper with something like 3-point font. And it's written in a whole lot of good scientific language that is absolutely perfect for the purpose of science and medicine. It's not terribly helpful for you as a person who's taking it. So how do we make that easier? By using chatbots that can help you interact with our medication to understand the medication and understand if it's right for you, and your doctor can help you with that. And then the third is really about the use of our products. And so imagine you're someone who gets diagnosed with cancer. There's a lot that happens with that. One is obviously you care about getting better and getting treated. But besides that, there's all types of emotions. There's all types of concerns. The stress associated with it is overbearing. How is it that we can provide support in the experience for the person who is suffering with cancer and on our medication to help them understand where they are in their journey and help them make that journey one that they can work through more effectively? So using AI in that as the third. So as we see where AI could contribute to a customer, we see many opportunities for us at Lilly. So let me transition then to welcome the PwC team here. I'm very excited and thank PwC for their partnership for today, for the Lilly Leadership Institute, but also the partnership that I have with them personally through the work that we do at Lilly. I would say PwC is absolutely committed to exploring new innovative ways to help bring technology to everyone in the world and to do so in a human-centered way. And really that's what we're here to talk about today, is how is it that we can do that with AI. So with that, I'm honored to introduce our two distinguished speakers. First is Gurpreet Singh, who is 29 years of consulting experience in pharmaceuticals and healthcare. As a partner and global health client leader, Gurpreet has been instrumental in delivering strategies that enhance growth and leverage emerging technologies for advantage at Lilly and many other companies all over the US. He serves on several prestigious boards, including the Adler Planetarium and the Latin School of Chicago. And he's also an avid tennis player and fan. Okay? You can ask him about that later. But more importantly, as a friend of mine, I'd also like to figure out how I can convert him to a pickleball player. So well, hang on. Okay, so yeah, DJ, thank you. But I'm not going to appeal to you. I'm going to appeal to other people here in a minute. If there's anybody under 30 in here, okay, under 30 in here who's a pickleball player, okay, because I know it's taking over at the younger ages, we need you to talk to Gurpreet at the social afterwards and help him understand why it's cool, and because you're young and you're playing it. So there you go. I see there's a couple people that are going to talk to you. Okay. Joining Gurpreet is Scott Likens. He's PwC's Global Chief AI Engineer with more than 30 years of experience in AI, blockchain, quantum, and synthetic reality with a lot of cool things. Scott is a true technology disruptor and business transformation leader. Having started his career in the early days of the internet, he brings a unique perspective on applying global digital trends with a local lens. Scott is particularly passionate about responsible innovation and human-centric approaches to technology adoption. Together, they'll be sharing insights about business and customer engagement in the age of AI, a topic that will undoubtedly shape all of our lives in the very near future and for many years to come. So with that, I'll welcome them up here.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you for that intro. Again, I'm Scott, really excited to be here, and I hate hearing 30 years of experience out loud, so thanks for that. Appreciate that. So I wanted you first to reflect on what an amazing time we're actually living in. When I was in school, my technology access was a green screen computer and a terminal. The internet didn't actually exist for most people, and I did start in the early days. I worked on the first internet browser, and I was actually studying to be a pilot, and I gave that up in a second because I saw what was ahead. But think about what we're seeing today. So we're going to talk about AI. Oh. There we go, down, okay. Anyone remember the launch of ChatGPT? What month, what year? Anyone? You don't remember that good. November 20 of 22. Not even 3 years ago. What were you using it for? Recipes, poems, maybe a little banter. But think about within 1 year what we got to. AI was creating 3D visual images. That was less than a year later. So again, reflect on the time we're living in. The internet probably launched around 1993. It's now 2025. Of course, we couldn't live without it, but think about the time scale of what that took. And think about all the investment and the change that we went through. But think about that chat to this in less than 1 year. What's happening now? 1 week in January. Anyone know DeepSeek? Who used it? Oh, bad, bad, bad. So I lived in China for 5 years, and I was shocked that they did this. China doesn't release open source. And the headlines were amazing. But I lived there, so I didn't really believe them. But there was a huge invention that shocked the technology world. But look at the numbers on the bottom. Anyone know what GPT-4 means? So OpenAI's model. It's 1,000 times cheaper than a year and a half ago. Is technology getting cheaper, guys? No other technology has been getting cheaper. And if you look at the O1 class, the more modern reasoning model from OpenAI, 27 times cheaper in 3 months. So not only are we living in an age where AI is now accelerating, who knows how old AI is? Bold. Anyone? How many years?
70.
I didn't hear you.
70.
Darn it! 70-ish. 7 decades AI's been around. Going back to that green screen when I was in school, my favorite class was Lisp. Anyone know Lisp, the programming language? All right. Nerds, all right. I was writing AI on a green screen in a terminal. So this is not a new topic. So why were we so surprised? It became more human. It wasn't on, the terminal, it wasn't in the lab anymore. We could speak to it. And on the right side here, it could actually interact with our machines now. So you think about that progression, and I don't see it slowing down. So where are we at in that journey? Let's look back just 15 years. Watson beat Jeopardy. That was the first kind of AI breakthrough. I had the privilege of working with Dr. Chongsheng Li, who was the lead of that AI team in IBM. Brilliant mind. That was in 2010. We had Siri. I don't know if we call that AI back then. Let's be honest. But then think about that progression. GPT-3, so the model that originates all of the things we're using today in OpenAI, was in 2020. And then 2022 to 2025, we have seen a massive exponential increase in invention and scale. No one called it. After 70 years studying this, no one called it. But we're not even at the beginning of the exponential. Who's going to be bold and describe what neuromorphic computing is? We're now building computers that mimic our brain, being built out of biologics, meaning not silicone, not transistors. We've been following Moore's law over the past 2 years, where every 2 years we're doubling our compute. And that's been fantastic. And if you look at the progress of the internet, of e-commerce, of social, it's very linear. But we've broken through that in AI. We've broken through it on the traditional hardware. The GPUs are getting better, faster, cheaper. But we're also pushing the pace in new ways of computing. Neuromorphic computing mimics biological processes to do things. We don't have to have silicon. We don't have to have semiconductors. And beyond that, my favorite topic is quantum. Anyone digging into the quantum world, quantum mechanics?
Yeah, Miami University.
Excellent. I love it.
We started a major, so anybody interested in quantum, next year, we'll be on campus.
Get in this class. I'm telling you it's here. For 20-ish years, there's been, again, research and development in how to compute differently. And I'm not going to get into quantum mechanics. We can do that at the social. But thinking about having no constraints to the compute that AI needs. Today, our biggest constraint is energy. It's not chips anymore. We can't produce enough electricity for what the AI will need in 5, let alone 3 years. Quantum skips past all of that. So if you think about this progression, I bring it up because the time scale is shrinking. You don't have the wait and see, I'm going to learn it over a decade. You have to be curious. You have to get into what's happening. Whether you're a business major, you have to understand technology, or you're a technology major, you have to understand business, because they're coming together. And this pace will continue. I haven't seen it slow down. I'd say it's very exhausting to keep up, but it's exhilarating. So having that curiosity and knowing what's next is going to be important. So I know we're talking about customer, but one of the passions of PwC is also understanding our workforce and the future of jobs. So we've been studying what AI has been doing to jobs over the last decade. And Gen AI is not the first AI. There's good old AI that's been around a long time. So we've been looking across 1 billion job postings, probably anyone graduating, right? You're going to have to start looking at these things. And we're trying to understand, is AI accretive or is it taking everyone's jobs? Doomsday is here. And the good news is we're not seeing the jobs go away. We're seeing the jobs change drastically. What you do in a role is changing. And it's changing faster than we really thought. From last year to this year, that was the biggest move, was the skills that we need in a job are changing. We're an accounting firm at the core. Our accountants have to understand AI. They have to understand how it works. Before, they had to understand finance and math. Lawyers have to understand AI and how it works and how it can be accretive. One of the other things we found was jobs that are exposed to AI, candidates with AI experience, got more money. It's a good thing. They are outpacing their peers in their salaries. They're outpacing their peers in their productivity. Last year was 4.8 times more productive an accountant using AI versus accountant not, a lawyer using AI versus a lawyer not. This year, we haven't released the results yet, but it's much higher. So we're being more productive, which is good business benefit, but it's also good for humans. They're not doing a bunch of tasks they didn't want to do anyway. But the work is changing. So what you're studying today may or may not help you tomorrow. That means you have to continue to pivot. You have to continue to watch what's happening in technology, especially AI. But I'll tell you right now, I mentioned quantum and neuromorphic. The amount of activity in robotics has shocked me over the last few years. Anyone see these bipedal robots? I saw one at TED on stage in Vancouver one day ago, give a speech, completely autonomously. So robotics, bringing the physical world, connecting it with AI, making it easy for humans to interact. Again, that pivot point was, we can speak to technology in our language, whatever language it is. That wasn't possible just 4 years ago. And it's going to continue to increase in its ability to be integrated into the physical world. So I'm going to play a quick clip from our good friend, Dr. Matt Wood. He's our Commercial Innovation and Technology Officer. He spent many years at AWS. He understands technology inherently. So really quickly.
AI acts as an amplifier for expertise. It doesn't remove the need to do writing. It makes you a better writer. It doesn't remove the need for thinking. It makes you a better thinker. It doesn't remove the need for problem solving. It makes you a better problem solver. And so anywhere inside an organization, like the ones I just was referring to, where you have expertise, you should expect to see AI add value and amplify that expertise over time. Today, it's relatively modest, but as these models get more capable, that amplification will continue to grow and grow and grow. And as a result, you'll probably grow more as a result of that investment, and you tend to get higher return on investment because you are making better use of that expertise. And you tend to invest where you see better return on investment. So where you start to add AI and automation and efficiencies and this amplification, you'll see better returns. And as a result, you'll see more growth, and that growth will drive more headcount.
We recorded that the models did get better. So I can tell you at PwC as the chief engineer, my role is both to build in technology for us internally, roll it out to 150 countries with many different regulatory schemes, with many different roles and skills, but then also to help serve clients. Once we understand how to do that at scale, bring it to life. And I can tell you in every aspect of business, AI is helping. I have an engineering team. We're seeing massive increase in capability to write code in a much better way, higher quality. We heard it earlier on developing products, medicines, everything we're doing, we're infusing AI. So I don't want my people to be afraid of AI. You should not be afraid of AI, but you should be understanding where it gives you a superpower. In whatever you're doing, there's an opportunity for AI to help you. And the simplest thing I say is if you don't know how to use AI, ask it. Tell it to put a curriculum together and walk you through it. It's not going to get annoyed or bored. Tell it to help you. I use it every day myself. So don't be afraid. It's not going to slow down. It's going to continue to get better. It's going to continue to help us more as humans. And as it becomes more and more integrated to our physical world, you're not going to get away from it. So let's embrace it. Let's accept it. But let's make it responsible in the way we use it. Let's be human first and tech powered. That's our mission. And now I want to bring up my well-dressed, way better dressed than me, friend Gurpreet, best dressed partner at PwC. I want you to kind of give a perspective on what you're seeing in the market, in the industry, because you're so deeply rooted there.
Sure. Thanks, Scott. What you didn't realize was Scott's actually not physically here. He's actually in Austin. This is an avatar. So, Scott, thanks, and Charlie, thank you for the intros as well. Like I said, my name is Gurpreet Singh. I lead a lot of our work in the healthcare space, and so I think maybe the important sort of transition that we wanted to talk about here is AI gives you the facilities, the capabilities, the engineering talent, so on and so forth that Scott described, but now you have to apply it to a business problem. And before I maybe talk a little bit about that, just a quick personal story on what this relationship between PwC and Lilly means to me. So about a year ago, one of my retired partner's wife was in the hospital at John Muir Health suffering from lung cancer. She had respiratory issues. She was on a feeding tube. She was on a respirator. She was sitting at John Muir Health in the West Coast, and they found out they actually needed a specific drug, and it was called Retevmo. Retevmo, if you don't know, is actually a lung cancer drug that Lilly manufactures. Well, there was an issue. John Muir Health didn't actually have it on formulary. So anyone that knows anything about insurance, you need to have the product on formulary. It has to be approved so you actually can order it. So they actually weren't able to order it. And so one of the things that, my partner called me up and knew I knew a little about healthcare. I said, well, maybe we could figure out like how to get her to Stanford because it's not too far away and it's approved there. But they couldn't move her because she was on a respirator and very close to dying. And so I called up my friends at Lilly, and I called up Jake, who's at Lilly, called up Frank, who's at Lilly, and they figured out, well, I'm going to call one of our other partners, a company called McKesson that delivers the drug, and we're going to figure out how to get access, market access to John Muir Health. In 48 hours, Retevmo was actually at the bedside with my partner's wife, and it saved her life. She's now 80% better, and it's a miraculous story. And so I just want to say how much this relationship means to me because it's actually saving lives. It's not just about, rates and hours and making money, but it's about saving a life. And so I just want to say how much I appreciate that. So thank you. So it's all rosy, but I don't know if any of you caught there's a problem in that story too. What's the problem? Why wasn't there market access? Why didn't they know that that drug would work? So some of you might know that only 40% of patients that actually are screened for cancer actually get their gene sequence. Only 40% actually get the screening. And so what does that mean? For all of the products that many great pharmaceutical companies make, including Lilly, only 40%, you only know less than half will know whether that drug will work for you or not. And so how do we get diagnostics and data and imaging to that bedside is one of the most important things. So think about some of the things that we're talking about are problems, but they're also opportunities. So I'm going to give you 3 facts. I don't want to call them fun facts because you'll see opportunities. So I'll give you 3 facts, just 3 numbers, and we'll talk through those 3 numbers. So 50 billion is the first one, 4,000, and 500 million. Okay, 3 numbers. I'm going to go through each of them, why they're relevant. 50 billion. 50 billion is the revenue that the top 3 drug products from 2010 to 2020. 50 billion. There's a term that we use in the pharmaceutical industry. It's called responders and non-responders. So a responder is when you take a drug or a product and something happens, hopefully good. A non-responder is it acts like a placebo. Nothing happens. What do you think the responder to non-responder ratio is? Is it like, this is the class participation time. Is it like 90-10? Is it 10-90? Is it 60-40, 40-60? Like, all right. 30% responders. 30% responder. Any other guesses? 80%. Anyone more, what do you got? 80% responder? Okay. Another guess? So we got optimist and pessimist. Anyone in the middle? 40%. That's right, 40%. So it's 40-60. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means only 4 out of 10 patients that walk in the door, the drug works. That means that over half, it doesn't. And so when you think about it from an economic standpoint, that means that over half is waste. Over half is waste. But what if you knew when the patient walked in the door, whether they'd be on the 40 side or the 60 side, and you could predict that? And what if you knew that if that patient was in the 60, that you could treat them maybe with a clinical trial, maybe another approach, and maybe another procedure? So that was the first one. Okay. 4,000 was the next fun fact. 4,000 is the number of clicks that an ER physician clicks the mouse every day in an 8-hour shift. 4,000 clicks. So when you think about that, I know it's a very probably healthy audience in this area, but 4,000 clicks, that means your physician's probably clicking on the mouse more than they're talking to you. And the physicians actually don't like it either because they would rather spend time with you as a patient talking to you about you as opposed to trying to figure out how do I need to code this conversation. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but one of the biggest innovations isn't necessarily something that's super technology innovation, and Scott will tell you that this technology already exists. Ambient listening in the exam rooms. Why not actually have listening devices that actually help record the conversation? Actually, the biggest issue is not necessarily the technology. What do you think it is? What do you think the issue is? It's privacy and regulation. So those are things that we can figure out from a business standpoint. Okay, the third number I gave you, 500 million. So $500 million is the average spend for a top 10 pharma company on promotional marketing every year. 500 million. So $500 million goes to ads, promotions, so on and so forth. When you're marketing a drug to, let's say, a physician or to a consumer. $500 million. When you think about that number, and you think about what Scott showed even on his first slide, what if you actually could take that number down half as much by generating the images, by modernizing the process to actually get approval, by translating those images to ethnically and socially aware images that work in every country that you want to market to. So those are just a few examples. Yes, they're problems, but what do you think? I think there's a lot of opportunity in there too. There's a lot of opportunity to use what Scott's just described as potential. And so maybe what I'll do is just show you a video, just a concept of technology that already exists, but something that actually could be a nearly billion-dollar idea. And you'll say, well, doesn't this exist already? But take a look and let's talk about it.
Meet Alex, a pharma rep overwhelmed by nonstop appointments, a chaotic schedule, and endless paperwork. Each day, she struggles to stay organized, maximize time with providers, and juggle endless follow-ups. But what if there was a smarter way to work? Enter her new AI assistant. Alex's day is now transformed. She taps Route My Day. Instantly, she gets an optimized schedule. More time with providers, less travel. Her AI considers distance and prioritizes appointments based on past interactions and sales. As she arrives, her AI sends her real-time reminders and personal details to strengthen relationships. Between appointments, her AI fills schedule gaps with nearby high-priority providers. With a tap, she adjusts her schedule, making the most of her day. After each meeting, her AI captures important details effortlessly.
Hi, Alex. I see you've just wrapped up with Dr. Cooper. What would be helpful to remember from the meeting?
She asked for some samples to try with a few patients, and she was curious about the latest clinical data we discussed.
Got it. Should I also include a reminder to send details on patient assistance programs and discount cards?
Yes, please, and make a note to provide information on drug interactions, especially with blood thinners.
Great. I'll add that to the action items and send the summary to you for review now.
Perfect. Thanks.
It turns her voice notes into organized action items. It prepares personalized follow-up emails and schedules reminders ready for her approval. All day, Alex easily accesses vital info like patient programs and formulary statuses right when she needs it. She shares drug comparisons, clinical data, and educational materials on the spot. And at the end of each day, admin tasks no longer consume her evening. With AI at her side, Alex no longer manages chaos. Now, every moment counts. Interactions are even more meaningful. Empower your team with the future. A co-pilot to work smarter, not harder.
So that's just a concept, but actually can be a reality very soon. And so thinking about all of the opportunity for large companies, right? Clearly there's optimization opportunities for many of the companies that you may work with or work for in the coming years. How do you optimize the operations of that organization so that I'll coin a term that Charlie and I have been using and many use at Lilly. How do you grow without growing? How do you grow the top line while keeping the bottom line as flat as possible? That doesn't mean you're cutting heads or cutting head count, but rather you're growing into and creating capacity that allow you the organization to operate more efficiently. So obviously those are the operations piece, but healthcare is kind of interesting too, right? Like how about medicines and saving lives? And so I'm sure many of you know one of the more popular products that Lilly has called Mounjaro and Zepbound. GLP-1s are probably one of the most talked about and interesting products. And there's many in the press will say that Lilly will be the first pharmaceutical company to reach $1 trillion in market capitalization. That's what tech companies kind of market capitalization have. But why? Why is that? Now you got to think about it not just from an operations standpoint, but from a medicine standpoint. How do you make patients' lives better? So I'll tell you another personal story. So one of our partners just retired last year, and maybe had a longer career, a lot of travel, a lot of eating out. You know, you're very fit, but but not everyone has time to exercise all the time. So our partner, he was 6'3", 320 pounds when he retired. And so he called me up. He's been retired for a year now. He called me up and he said, "I want to be a poster child for Lilly." He's been on Manjaro for a year, and he's now 205 pounds. But there's more to this story. So what he told me was, when I was able to lose weight, and when I got under 250 pounds, I was able to exercise. I changed my lifestyle. I was able to start tracking all of my data, all my personal data using a watch. I was able to improve my labs. He tracks his labs now. He's changing his lifestyle altogether. And I don't know is anyone a skydiver in the audience? Any skydiver aficionados? So you could track me on this, but my understanding is when you want to do a tandem dive, it's best to be under 220 pounds. And so his daughter's a big skydiver, and so as soon as he dropped under 220 pounds, he called his daughter and said, "We're jumping out of a plane." But it's changed his life altogether, and it's changed the way he sees himself, and it's changed the way other people see him, and that's like the substance of changing how medicines can really be helpful for patients that need it. Part of the medicine and part of a healthy lifestyle is also trying to understand how to diagnose and how to start. And so what I might do is share another video of how do you actually start to change this lifestyle? How do you actually become more consumer oriented? And maybe I'll show you this video, and then we could talk about it in a sec.
As you open your eyes each morning, imagine a world where your health and the well-being of your loved ones are effortlessly supported. Start your day with personalized insights tailored to your wellness needs. Receive updates on your biometric data informed by your wearables. Didn't get enough sleep? No worries. Custom recommendations based on your preferences can help give you the boost you need, whether it's adjusting your sleep schedule or tweaking your daily habits. With a touch, start your personalized morning routine.
Good morning, Carmela.
A connected home helps you seamlessly manage your daily activities and integrate with essential services.
What's on my list today? Here's what I have on your list for today. You have yoga at 10:30 a.m., a grocery delivery at 2 o'clock p.m., and family movie night at 7 o'clock p.m.
Personalized suggestions ensure you stay on top of your health needs, making choices easier. Planning meals that meet your health goals and dietary needs is easier too, with recipe suggestions customized to you and your family members.
How about a low-sodium chicken soup? It's high in protein and nut-free, perfect for Joey's allergies.
Yeah, let's do it.
With tailored grocery suggestions and automated ordering, you always have the right ingredients at hand. In times of need, interconnected medical devices provide real-time insights and guidance. Effortlessly access trusted care platforms on your devices without leaving the house.
Thank you.
Thank you. Manage prescriptions with ease and be alerted to savings on your medications. Conveniently access essential health products and products that boost your mental health and get them shipped to you. Stay informed about the health of loved ones with life-saving alerts.
Oh, hi, dear. Hey, Ma, is everything okay? I'm fine. I just took a nap because I was feeling tired. A nap? That's not like you, Ma. Let me check your glucose levels. Ma, your glucose levels are high. Have you taken your insulin? I was just about to. Ma, you gotta do that now, please. Do you need anything? No, I'm good. Thanks for checking in. Of course.
With seamless health solutions, managing your family's well-being has never been easier.
want you to remember three things about this transformation: personalized, predictive, and point of care. All three of those things are transforming as we speak. And that technology isn't necessarily that difficult to implement, but tying all the pieces together, that's the tough part. And so as you think about AI and connecting it to all of these potential, like disrupting some of the things that are happening today, solving some of the problems that we talked about with those three facts in the beginning, this is all about coming up with those ideas and putting them together with the facilitation of AI. I'll leave you with one other thought or idea. A lot of people suffer from epilepsy, a lot of people suffer from migraines, and a lot of neurological disorders. And those are really hard to diagnose. But what if you had a device that could track, things that are environmental, like barometric pressure, light, exercise profile, what have you, but was personalized to your body makeup and could track would be your algorithm, the algorithm of Gurpreet, that allows it to track for me, or the algorithm for Charlie, or the algorithm for Scott. Those are all different, but what if I could have my own algorithm that would warn me when I was about to have a seizure or when I was about to have a migraine? And then I could then take a appropriate prophylactic, a product or what have you, that allowed me to subside that. Those are all very real possibilities. And it's about the great minds in this room coming up with those ideas, combining it with the potential technology to come up with life-saving approaches. So with that, maybe I'll pause. And I think what we're going to do is maybe do a little bit of Q&A, so you can ask some questions. And we'll take it from there. Does that sound good? So what questions do you have? That's it? Oh,
Thank you. First, thank you all for speaking to us today. My name is Benedicta Jun. I'm a potential cohort 14 member. And my question is, how do you recommend keeping up with the upcoming trends that come with technology, especially because things are changing so quickly? Thank you.
Common question. Everyone asks me, well, how do you keep up? I surround myself with other curious people that are keeping up. I go on X a lot, I'll be honest. I think you have to be curious. I think you have to make the effort. There's no one place, there's no one training. Obviously, it's some of your personal passion, the areas that you're interested in. There's something happening in AI, no matter what it is. So I think you have to lean forward and find those avenues and people to discuss with, and then ask AI, where should I look? What is going on? But it is a daily battle for me to stay ahead of what's happening. But to me, it's, I'm lucky to have this brilliant team that I can tap into that are specialists in these areas. So find really interesting people with different perspectives and just get ready to be exhausted. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It really is. Other questions? All right, we got a good row here. What was cohort 12? This is solid.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Akanksha. I'm a cohort 12 member, and I have a question for you about the video that you just showed us. That's honestly a very interesting idea, and I'm wondering, if it's in the works, is this an ideation, and what, sort of the years look like in terms of if you will release it? Yeah.
So if you break down some of the pieces that you saw predictive, you saw recommendations based on your behaviors. You saw, for those of us in the call it the sandwich generation, where we're taking care of our parents and we're taking care of our kids, you need to be able to do more than what you're physically capable of. So you saw some diagnostics with a continuous glucose monitor and probably some Bluetooth that allows you to connect all that data together. You also saw the potential to communicate with your physician remotely. I might share with you some interesting developments that are happening in a number of different health systems. I get the opportunity talked to Mayo and Cleveland Clinic and Ohio Health and a number of great institutions. There's a health system called Atrium, which is now called Advocate. It's the 4th largest health system in the United States. And they just did a partnership with Best Buy. You think, well, why would they do a partnership with Best Buy? So imagine this. So like for my parents, when their virtual visit doesn't work, who do they call? They call the IT guy, right here. I'm the IT guy, right? And so what if for the last mile support, whether it's your router, your technology, or your browser, all those things that may not work to actually have the point of care in the home, what if you had Geek Squad doing that last mile support? Because the health system isn't necessarily geared, they don't have those core capabilities for customer support. Lilly may build some soon, but like customer support and operations or what have you, need to potentially partner with others that do it better. And probably don't have the network to actually achieve the results. The one other thing I would say is, I think we all know with our latest administration, a lot of the executive orders are going to hurt the health systems the most, particularly those that are dealing with academic medicine. So Medicare and Medicaid is one of the biggest ways that health systems stay afloat and even profitable for reimbursement. And then the other is research grants to actually achieve new products and science. And so this company that I've been describing, Advocate, is thinking about, well, I need to go beyond the things that are constraining me today, and maybe I need to look at new business models that allow me to address rural health, like people that I can't access, that can't drive 30 minutes or an hour to the hospital, but maybe I can treat them in the home. And so I'm giving you sort of the components of the answer, which is all of those components are real right now. The stitching together of those components is what's happening today. And so I would expect, do a little prediction here, I would expect that within a year's time, we will have all of those components stitched. Now the question is, how do you actually make money on it? And so that's the thing that I think many corporations struggle with, is like, can I make money off prediction? Can I make money off of reducing the potential risk of, let's say a hospital visit because your mom, had a glucose event and had to go to the ER. If I predicted that and prevented that, would I make money? And so part of this is getting the economics to work. It's a little bit of a long answer because there's lots of aspects of this, but I think ultimately, in a year's time, we will have all the components stitched together.
And I'll just add, there's massive innovation happening in the device side of this, so the Internet of Things, so the health device. So as someone who likes to monitor everything I can measure in my body, it's amazing, right? The amount of tests you can get today is pretty mind-blowing. The data is a challenge, so how do I use that? But there's also a lot of breakthroughs in neural interfaces, so actually some of these neurological disorders, which are hard to test for, we're seeing brain implants coming online. We're seeing robotics, solve some of the last mile. So that, again, that convergence of not just AI, but the physical, connection to humans, massive innovation happening. I was at TED in Vancouver, TED Talks. There was an entire section on breakthroughs in science, in health science because of AI. I mean, all of these startups just solving these problems you thought were unsolvable. So we're just seeing this acceleration, again, back to that curve, this acceleration to go after much harder problems, bigger data sets, connecting data sets that humans wouldn't have connected. So I'm just so excited about the future if we get it right, if we get all of those challenges in the circle right, for humans to be able to really have precision medicine is I think it's in our lifetimes.
Absolutely. Other questions?
I'm not running the mic, so shout.
That's okay. My name is John, I'm a cohort 11 member. Thank you for providing ideas of what the future might look like. And in our future, there might be some customers that are a little resistant to AI, as that looks like a very big change from the way we currently do things in our lives. How do you further interact and support those customers that are a little resistant to the change?
You want to start? Sure. Or ironically, I live off the grid on a ranch as the AI leader, so if that tells you anything.
So maybe it's worthwhile looking at some analogs. virtual visits and virtual care, as I mentioned before, pre-COVID, the average health system, actually, maybe I'll talk about the largest for-profit health system, because it's public data, is HCA, Healthcare Corporation of America. Before COVID, they did 3,000 virtual visits in a month. They have 1,800 hospitals across the nation, so 3,000 virtual visits a month. During COVID, they went to 300,000 virtual visits a month, and it was from all demographics and all different types. Now, there was necessity, of course, right? Like, we couldn't get to the hospital. But what that forced us to do is it forced us to look at different potentials for different therapies and customize it. So as an example, mental health, psychology, for example, is probably one of the biggest users of virtual care, even now today, even though now we've subsided all of the sort of the COVID damage that has been created in 2020. But that has created opportunity. Now, your question of like demographics, what we had found was in the virtual visits is that all demographics equally went up. In fact, those that maybe you might think, let's say my parents' generation, may not use it, maybe resistant to AI or what have you, actually started using it even more. And so I think in general, what we're trying to do as a convener, if you will, to help really drive demand and response for things like AI is to make it easy to use, to make it embedded in things that we do every day. And you saw in that video, right? Like, I'm sure many of you have a sort of a personal assistant, if you will, at your homes or what have you. Making it part of like your everyday life is part of that, what we would call change management. Scott, anything you'd add?
And making it safe, right? People, they have to trust it. So if we're building it for a workforce, they have to trust it, or building it for a consumer, you have to get past that trust gap. And I think, AI is scary to a lot of people. So we're doing unique things, like we're creating 3D holographic avatars. So it's actually very human-esque, and it's not a cartoon. So maybe it is your doctor, although it's an AI version of your doctor you can talk to, you might trust it more. So we're experimenting with different techniques and different technologies. You've got to get over that trust gap of that technology, because actually the AI is probably more accurate than your doctor is, to be honest. So. Other questions? Oh, I'll go in the back first.
There's an increase in reliability on AI. It pretty much looked like it was helping in every aspect of everyone's life. How do you think this would impact society? And do you see this leading to incompetence among society or potentially laziness?
You're the guy with the hoodie.
Mastering the art of the work I don't do. I think there's a fundamental transition going on around human and society in general. So, one of my fears as I look at my growing workforce, how do I train them if AI can write the code or do the research? I think about school. Sorry, you're evaluated on your essay, but you can generate the essay. So we're looking at techniques to figure out, how do you start to look at the process of thinking? Is there critical thinking? Is there reasoning? So it's almost about the steps. But to your question, will people get lazy? I think we already have that convenience today. I use Uber Eats. I'm going to admit it. But there's something in the human cooking the meal with the family, right? So getting back to some of those human roots, and that's one of our passions at PwC is human-led. People are in control. So I think technology is a benefit in the long run, but there's definitely some worries ahead in the sense of how much AI could do, how much robots could do. And again, I'm seeing it happen so fast. So I do worry about that. I don't know the answer right now. I don't know if you have perspective, but.
Take a shot at it. I don't think anyone knows the answer to that, but I will tell you. So like my dad, he used the slide rule, and he used to do everything in his head, and I require not just a calculator, but I require like more tools. But I'm using the tools to do the same things. And so there's some research actually that's out there that says AI will benefit those that actually are most productive in their jobs today. It's somewhat counterintuitive, because you'd say, well, wouldn't those that are least productive benefit the most from AI? It's actually the opposite. And so why is that the case? So after all is said and done, and we talk about this from a business standpoint all the time, is you build all these AI capabilities, but does it actually make you create a competitive advantage or a barrier to entry to your next competitor that's coming right behind you? And so what will be the differentiator? If all is said and done, and Scott, you might say that like, maybe at some point there will be one model to rule them all, right? Maybe there'll be many. But that said, all of your competitors will have similar capabilities from an AI standpoint at some point in time. So then what's the differentiator? The differentiator actually is understanding of your business process and understanding of how that business process aligns. So whether it's in the pharma context, whether it's really understanding the R&D processes in clinical trials and how to take the clinical trials process from 11 years down to 5 years, down to 2 years, or if it's really understanding how you actually market to physicians so they can understand your drug, so you can actually get Retevmo to the physician's bedside as quickly as possible, or if it's manufacturing the drug as close to the patient as possible so it doesn't take months or weeks to actually get it delivered. Those are all things that will actually still be the differentiators. The AI will actually create the facilitation for it. So that means for us, like, we really need to understand the business process and how they're married to the AI. Over here.
Thank you. My name is Demetrius. I'm in cohort 12. I was wondering your guys' perspective on, I know you briefly mentioned this earlier, but on data privacy regarding just model development in general. I know OpenAI had more than one lawsuit regarding their training data being like of the entire internet, basically. So I guess, especially with like the proprietary models handling like patient data, how would you tackle the issue of like data privacy?
I mean, this is a massive issue in everything we do day to day with every industry. So first, the OpenAI, I think they beat the first case at least. There'll be more, right? There's still a lot of gray area in the sense of there's two pieces to AI. One is on generative AI is the training of the model, which you mentioned. They're looking at everything on the internet, and they've all done that. So we'll get through those cases. We'll figure out what the law says. So far, they're able to use that data. It's public data. Now, to your point around private data or my data, health data, the way we build the technology separates that completely. That's never going into a foundational model. If we're building a model custom and fine-tuning it, or we're accessing it through different patterns, RAG patterns, things like that, most of the effort in AI for me today is this problem. It's not about the models. The models work. They're amazing. It's how do I actually find out if I have the data? Do I know where it's at? Can I use it? Can I legally use it? How can I legally use it? There's a whole list of issues on the data itself. But you have to separate the foundational model pre-training versus the inference or what I'm doing with it. And quite honestly, that's the harder part and the most of the work we do. And it's solvable. It's solvable. The bigger challenge is typically in big organizations, we actually don't know where the data is. So we have to find it. Then we have to figure out, can we use it? Is it legal? For what use? Et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very common pattern, but it is a solvable pattern. It doesn't mean people won't ignore it, but it's definitely a solvable pattern. All right, you guys are waiting, so go ahead.
I'm Bo, member of cohort 12.
Cohort 12.
So I recently took a student survey about AI where I read that training AI models alone can lead to over 600,000 pounds of CO2 being produced and released into the atmosphere, which surprised me. That's just something I've never considered. So that leads to my question, which is, what are some of the important considerations that PwC is taking when embracing more of these newer, complex AI models?
Yeah, I love this question. So we've actually been studying this quite intently. So as sustainability is a thing that we want to get right. So first off, I don't know the stat that you saw, but if you think about, again, the large foundational models, the pre-training, so if you think about 100,000 GPUs running for 8 months, sucking energy, creating carbon, more importantly, using a lot of water, there's something that we have to watch. And as I said, right now, we're constrained by the generation of power because people just want more. But you also have to imagine that once that model is trained, there's hundreds, if not hundreds of millions of people using that model, which is taking advantage of that pre-training. So no one else has to do that once I've done it. So it's a point in time. I'm not saying it's good, but it's a point in time. So we started to look at the difference between the pre-training and the inference, so the use of that model. And at PwC in 2023, we calculated out that if the entire firm used our generative AI tool, which was OpenAI running on Azure, to the degree we thought they would use it, it would equate to 72 domestic flights in the US, which is not a lot of carbon. I took that this past quarter. I'm not saying it's good, but we can quantify it, right? So first we have to actually delineate, where the carbon is being generated and why, and look at the true understanding of the impact. And then second, what we're seeing now is because of this massive demand and the constraint originally on semiconductors, now on power, there's a huge amount of innovation happening around energy generation, and it's all actually very positive. So whether or not you believe in nuclear is coming back online, it's much cleaner, it's a much greener energy source compared to coal. There's massive innovation in the distribution and storage of power to power these data centers. So because AI is actually pulling so strongly, we're innovating on electricity like we've never done before. So we're doing a model right now that's predicting out 10 years the true impact of AI and climate. And so far, and we'll release it around May, it's actually net benefit. Right now, data centers use around 5 to 6% of global energy production. They may move to 10%, which could be catastrophic. But if we get that right, and the energy generation is done greener, more sustainably, 90% of other industries are going to use that same power. So there's a net benefit in the long run. So we're going to release that model in the next few months. But we think there's a great path forward if done right. So I think that innovation is key. We have to change the way we generate, distribute, and store power to feed the data centers. And we do monitor it. So I can tell you day to day exactly how much carbon we generate using AI. We did the same thing for blockchain, which was the first one through this gauntlet. Blockchain's bad, uses a lot of energy. We actually disproved that. It equates to a very low amount compared to the traditional systems that we use today. You're next.
Hi, my name is Alan. I'm also in cohort 12. I had a question about when you're making these new products or these new developments, are you considering actually creating the idea first and then building up the technology to support that? Or are you kind of studying what the models are capable of and then seeing how you can apply that to the problems that you're trying to solve?
So I can speak AI first, and if you want to talk a more customer product. We do both. So from an R&D perspective, we're deeply working with the model vendors, so OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, et cetera, to try and understand not only what the current models do, but the next ones. So luckily, we actually have a preview into the new models that are not released. So we're trying to understand the capabilities, and we actually have to quantify that. So we're building deep testing of the AI models to understand how good the reasoning accuracy, the bias, efficacy, et cetera. So we're looking at the capabilities, but we always start with the end in mind in the sense of what the business problem is and work backwards, is the term Matt Wood uses a lot. So we work backwards from the change we want to make, so the output we want to change, and then figure out where AI can actually help. AI doesn't solve all problems. So we definitely think about that endpoint backwards versus just creating technology and seeing if people want it. That doesn't work well. Do we have one more question? Or we? One more question. All right, one more question. I saw him first. I'm sorry. We'll talk after. You want to shout?
Yeah. So we have two questions that come through the live stream.
Oh, okay.
The first one actually comes from Tony Summerall, but he asks, when do you think quantum computing will become widely available, and do you see them combining or working together today?
The ultimate question is when, and I work with a great professor, Spiros Mikolakis at Caltech. I forget what his title, but he's a quantum guy. I don't know when, right? But I can tell you in the past 2 years, there's been a lot more breakthroughs than we've seen in the past 20. We've seen new techniques. So there's actually, I think, 8 or 9 different types of quantum computers physically. So from the supercooled to the ionic to the atomic to the diamond-based. What I can tell you, though, is the quantum mindset means we have to change the math for the AI. That's step number one, is understanding how to actually run in a quantum computer. There's already benefits there. So we're studying optimization quite deeply, and we're seeing benefits already in just rethinking the algebra to be ready for quantum. And running in a quantum simulator, we may already get a better solution than classical AI within optimization. The other aspect is cryptography. So post-quantum cryptography is undoubtedly here much sooner than people thought just last year. So everyone that I've talked to had said 2035. Spiros stood on stage 2 years ago and said 0% chance in the next 10 years. 2 weeks ago, he said, I changed my mind. It's now 99% chance by 2030. No one knows exactly, but the progress is accelerating. So I think we have to pay attention to it. It's a new set of skills. It's a new set of math. It's a new mindset. It's new hardware. And the second part of the question is, I believe it absolutely would be a hybrid. I've already seen this in the research labs, CPUs to organize, GPUs to process, QPUs to go do some crazy deep area of solve, and all of that coming together. We're already seeing physical layouts that prepare for QPUs right next to CPUs and GPUs. Last question.
Yeah, the second question comes from another viewer, and they ask, from the talks and the concept of AI today, there was a resounding theme of AI progresses / enhances expertise. Could you explain your take there a bit?
That it enhances expertise. Explain why.
So it's a good question. Maybe we'll conclude on this topic. But I have an ask of all of you, and it's related to the answer to your question, which is, so I'm a healthcare person. Scott's an AI expert. We have some friends that are clinical trials experts and scientists. We have friends that really understand the quantitative, the math, the analytics. We have some friends that can do data science and engineering. And we all work together to come up with a solution to the problems that we've discussed. And so what I would say, and my ask of all of you, is that you don't have to be the expert in everything we're talking about. But it is important for you to collaborate with others that have expertise that is necessary. So when you think about the people in this room and the people that you collaborate with at school, the people that you would collaborate with, once you're working for a corporation or your next big problem to be solved, the cross-competency team is the one that actually will solve these problems together. And when you put those together, that's where the real power comes from. And I'm kind of envious because I totally enjoy this environment where you actually can meet so many different people so quickly. And that's what I enjoy doing when Scott and I are able to collaborate with Lilly and come up with great groundbreaking solutions that actually can help patients and help consumers and just change the way we think about and moving these from problems to actually saving lives. So I guess with that I'll close, but I just wanted to thank you for all the time. We're going to stay around for the reception as well, so feel free to come up to us and ask questions as well. Thanks.
That's synthetic Scott.
So I think I was right. We have had some great keynotes, and they've given us a lot to think about. And I do hope that you will chat with everyone at the reception, and you guys will get to see what the students' ideas were. So the idea is that they were supposed to think in the future from their own perspectives, how could AI help customers? So it'll be wonderful to have those conversations. So next, I want to introduce someone that all the students know, Michael Siegert. You all know him because he is a guest lecturer all the time. He comes and speaks on introversion, he speaks on coaching, he speaks on questions. So you've all had a chance to meet Michael. And in the spirit of using technology, he is going to introduce some people that are coming to us via a video. So I'll turn it over to you, Michael. And he's, by the way, from cohort 6.
Thank you, Louise. I did have to wear my customary Lilly swag, and some people actually recognized me from what I was wearing, which was kind of scary. Means I've been here a little too much. So today I have the pleasure of introducing a fireside chat. And I'm actually first going to introduce the host that will be doing it, which is Miranda Ferguson. She is a member of Cohort 3. She unfortunately wasn't able to be here today, but she's also my supervisor, so, you know, I know her. So Miranda is a manager in our software engineering hub at Lilly, which is also where I work. And she's actually going to introduce herself, so I'm going to take this time just a little bit to thank her for everything she did to help bring Priyanka in and then actually record and do the fireside chat with her. I'm also going to sneak in a thank you to David Gaeta from Cohort 2, who actually helped to put together the video that we're going to show you. So a little intro to the video. So Priyanka is a seasoned product manager and strategy leader with extensive experience in AI-driven customer engagement. Miranda is going to have a fireside chat conversation with her around key trends, real-world applications, and how business can harness AI to build stronger customer connections. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with the video.
Hi everyone, I'm Miranda Ferguson, a Miami University graduate and a member of Cohort 3 of the Lilly Leadership Institute. I'm excited to be here today for a fireside chat with Priyanka Raj, where we'll be answering some of Cohort 12's questions on AI and customer engagement. Priyanka is a product marketing and strategy leader with over 11 years of experience driving AI innovation, customer engagement, and go-to-market strategies in SaaS and enterprise technology. She has worked at the forefront of AI-driven automation and customer experience, helping businesses leverage emerging technologies to drive growth, personalization, and efficiency. She earned her MBA from the Berkeley Haas School of Business, where she explored AI applications in marketing and customer engagement and studied with researchers in the field of generative AI and AI for business. She has had leadership roles at companies such as Oracle, Adobe, WorkFusion, and Pegasystems, where she was instrumental in launching AI products, driving customer-centric go-to-market strategies, and empowering sales teams with the tools to engage effectively with their customers. Beyond her corporate and startup experience, Priyanka is a passionate storyteller and certified Toastmasters speaker. Priyanka excels at translating complex technologies into compelling narratives that resonate deeply with customers. She's also deeply involved in nonprofit initiatives and AI startups. Today in our fireside chat, called Revolutionizing Customer Engagement, AI Trends and Real-World Insights, we'll explore her unique perspective on leveraging AI to build deeper, more meaningful customer connections. Priyanka, thank you for being with me today.
Thanks, Miranda. Thanks for the kind introduction. Happy to be here.
Let's jump right in. Priyanka, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and background?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, one thing I wanted to say was when I was in college, I was also part of a leadership program. It was a leadership certificate program, and I really loved it. We did things like use Kouzes and Posner's framework. We did Strengths Finder. We did a ropes course to develop trust. We learned about leadership skills. I loved all of the personality tests and learning about emotional intelligence and values. And I think it's such a great program that you're part of, and really excited to speak with all of you today. In terms of my background, I actually started working in college. I was an account manager for an advertising agency. And then I ended up running a small business during that time, and I was helping local businesses nearby with their marketing plans, and I'd help implement them. I'd have a team of creatives and account managers. It was one of the most fun jobs I have actually had. And I had a business owner write me a letter at the end of our contract, when our contract was up, and say that it was the first time that year that he had turned a profit in his business. So I think that's why I really loved it. I was able to see the impact that a great marketing plan can have for a business. So that was a lot of fun. I think it gave me that first love of marketing. And then after that, I ended up joining a startup and was doing market research for them. Started to fall in love with product marketing at that point. Went to a big big tech company and was helping them with sales engineering. And I was doing things like customer demos and customizing products for SaaS products like HR cloud products, ERP, marketing cloud, things like that. So that was a lot of fun working with sales, doing sales enablement, and had a lot of fun doing that. And then, also, as Miranda, as you mentioned, kind of did some work in my MBA with AI as well. And some of the things I have to tell you today actually come from that, from some of the most recent research that the Berkeley professors showed me. So excited to talk about that today.
Wow, that's such an amazing journey, Priyanka. It's really inspiring how you've combined technology, business, and leadership, and AI was kind of a thread that went through all of it together. You mentioned how AI's meaning and impact has kind of like changed over time. Generative AI in particular has transformed customer engagement. From your perspective, how has Gen AI changed customer experiences?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And it's an exciting field to be in. I found a great McKinsey report that I think summarizes it in a way that might be interesting to all of you. So I thought I would just take you on the journey that the report talks about. And they talk about a person named Betty and how she is using an AI assistant called Luna. So I'll just walk you through how they talk about how she uses it for one of her work trips. So she gets invited to this conference in Barcelona, and she takes her AI travel assistant, Luna, with her. And Luna has already prepared a door-to-door travel plan for her, made it hyper-personalized based off of Betty's previous business trips and personal preferences. And the way Gen AI at that point is used is for researching and planning trips, upselling and cross-selling. We'll see some of that later too. And then some different content and tasks provided based off of those user prompts. And then it even gives her ideas for leisure activities. And then we even see for her travel preparation, Luna actually collects all of Betty's travel documents that she needs, pre-fills out the immigration forms, and then all Betty needs to do, and I think this is a theme that we see with Gen AI in particular, is now all you have to do is read the summary and confirm that the data is correct. So Gen AI is able to really look at document collection, extraction, filing, automate a packing list based off the weather, customize the in-flight experience for her, and tell her about necessary prerequisites, like does she need a visa or a vaccination. And then as she's on her way to the airport, Luna actually monitors the traffic for her and then adjusts the taxi pickup time before Betty even wakes up. So that's pretty nice, right? To have an assistant like that. Orders her favorite driver. And then while she's commuting, Luna suggests Betty use some time, if she wants, to look at some different duty-free offers even. So there's opportunities there in the customer journey process for upselling and personalization. There's line and wait time forecasting. There's organization of ground transportation. And then when she's at the airport, Luna can tell Betty that her gate has changed at the last minute, and then even give her directions and tell her how long the walk will take. So Betty ends up arriving early. And so it's amazing to see that Gen AI can give you a dynamic in-airport navigation, tell you about the lounge and amenities, and give you even personalized dining ideas, knowing your dietary preferences. And then when she's on the plane, it connects, once Luna connects with the Wi-Fi, Luna actually tells the crew what kind of drink Betty typically likes to order, and briefs the crew about her needs. And I think that's interesting how Gen AI can actually personalize a crew passenger interface, or if you look at different industries, this could be used in different ways. Meal scheduling, even luggage tracking, which can be very important. And then Luna takes care of updating travel plans because it realizes her connecting flight will be delayed. It sends a note to her local taxi company and her hotel as well. So everything's taken care of. So we see that Gen AI can do dynamic rebooking, coordinate ground transportation, automate hotel check-ins. And then while she's in Barcelona, Betty sprains her ankle and she asks Luna for help. And Luna actually is familiar with her travel insurance policy. So it shows her all of the best available plans, informs her about next steps, tells her what documents she should take with her to the hospital. So we can see how here for customer service, it can help with travel related issues, proactive disruption management. It can help with translations too, or communication with insurance or service providers. And then finally, when Betty gets back home, Luna can generate a travel video for her to share with all of her friends and family. So this is where we can see customer retention and loyalty opportunities, automated social content creation and debriefs. So what the McKinsey report really talks about is in the next 3 to 5 years, it believes this will be on everyone's phone and everyone will have an AI assistant with co-pilots that are assisting with bi-directional conversations. And it's pretty interesting what they really came up with and how they think it'll increase customer satisfaction, increase revenue opportunities as well. So that's just a little example I thought might be helpful to think through customer journeys.
Wow, that's so cool. I really hope I have a tool like Luna sometime in the near future. And it's really amazing how AI isn't just optimizing an individual interaction, but it's truly reshaping like the whole experience, from planning a trip to even once you get back from the trip, planning that video out. We were speaking a little bit earlier about how AI and predictive analytics have been around for a while in customer journey analytics. With all of these advancements, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, a lot of things. I think, I know we were talking about this earlier offline, just how AI has been in customer journeys, for a while, not just since 2022, but for quite a while. Even in 2021, in pre-2021, we could see analytics and we could see when the cart was abandoned, we could make suggestions, send out emails. We had robust reporting tools, analytics features. We had drag and drop, low code or no code. So we had a lot of tools. And I think some of the areas that are exciting, one area is media creation or video creation, content creation. There are a lot of tools that can do that. I think Descript is another amazing tool where you can edit podcasts. I think that's incredible. I think, video and content creation, I think that's really going to change things. We, of course, have seen how chatbots have been on the rise and customer service has really changed. And it also helps customers make decisions. So the whole customer journey field has been benefited by that. And then you can look at something like different vertical AI opportunities. So we have more tailored solutions. There's also agents, so agentic AI, and how different areas can now be automated. So it's a really exciting time to look at customer journeys.
Yeah, that really is exciting. With all this rapid evolution, it feels like there's so much ongoing research and discussion around Gen AI. Can you share some of the latest research or emerging sentiments that you've been thinking about?
Yeah, one great talk is from Martin Casado from A16Z, and he gives a great explanation on how AI adds business value by dramatically lowering the marginal cost of content creation. So making industries like entertainment or design or even creating TV shows or movies could, the cost of production will hopefully really go down. And he talks a lot about the unit economics of that and why that creates a competitive advantage. There's a great study by David Holtz, who studies entrepreneurs in Kenya and how entrepreneurs who have had a lot of, or who have a successful business already, tend to, when they are given AI tools for the first time, tend to actually have their businesses improve even more. And the entrepreneurs who are struggling a bit in their business, their businesses actually started to perform even more poorly given AI tools. So that piece of research was really interesting because it can be a bit contrary to what other research is showing. But I think my takeaway from that personally is that it's just about discernment and kind of being able to say, okay, it's giving me this advice. Is it a good idea or not? And that's why I think education is still really important. Learning about that trade, all of that's still so valuable. That human in the loop or human judgment is so key. There's another great researcher, Daniel Rock, who had a great paper on how on AI and automation. He talks about how it augments labor rather than replace it. I think this one is really key in terms of, a lot of people, for example, will talk about radiologists and whether or not they'll lose their jobs. And if you go to ONET and you look at all the different tasks that a radiologist has, it can be upwards of 50 tasks that they do in a given day. So it's really looking at, for every job and every career, which tasks can AI actually maybe automate or help or assist a human in that process, and where it can't. And I think that was a really key piece of research. I also listened to a great talk by someone from Gen AI at WhatsApp, and she was speaking about how a lot of the users use it for emotional support or math homework. And so I think that's interesting to also see how it's being used differently on different platforms by different people. And that's similar to something that Ronnie Chatterjee from OpenAI said, that he is very interested and focused on AI's role in education. So he's really curious and interested in tutoring systems and personalized learning tools. So I would probably summarize that by, to me, the most significant impact areas are customer support. I would say software development too, like companies like Cursor, and then marketing and advertising in some areas, like reducing the cost of content creation with high quality images and videos. And then I would say other areas too is things like judgment and high risk decision making. I would say those, you want to have a human doing those pieces. It might be able to predict and do predictions for you, but I think having a human in those areas is where it's still really valuable. So that's some of the research that I've been looking at recently.
That's really insightful. And there's so much happening in this space, and the research is evolving just as fast as the technology itself. With so much transformation happening, it's clear that successfully integrating AI isn't just about the technology, it's also about leadership. How do you effectively lead a team through AI-driven transformations? And how can leaders ensure they're building AI strategies that create a lasting impact?
It's so important. I think one key takeaway around leadership would be that concept of discernment and being able to use your judgment on the Gen AI content that you're given. So I think when AI is generating this content and predictions, it's amazing what it can do. But I think humans do need to discern the output of that. One thing that I think helps is reading as much as possible, learning as much as you can about the underlying foundation of how foundation models are built, and reading. I have a long list of books on my reading list personally. So things like books like A Brief History of Intelligence by Max Bennett, Information Rules by Carl Shapiro and Hal Varian, Prediction Machines by Ajay Agarwal, Competing in the Age of AI by Kareem Lakhani. I think those are some great books that have been recommended to me multiple times. And I think there are some wonderful Substacks out there as well. Like Ethan Mollick has a great one, just so you can stay up to date. It's such an evolving field. I think almost every day I hear something new. And so I think that's a great way to stay on top of it as well.
Awesome. This has really been a great discussion. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give to students who want to innovate in this space?
Sure. I think it's a growing field. Something I wanted to share with you is I recently attended a hedge fund strategy presentation from a firm, and they had this amazing chart on compute cycles. So it started with the PC, then internet, then mobile, cloud, and then AI. And what it really showed was how we often underestimate each of these compute cycles. So for the PC, for example, they forecasted it as 225 million users, and it ended up being something like 354 million. The current is 1.5 billion. For the internet, it was 152 million forecasted, and the current now is 5.1 billion, and so on. So it really showed how each compute cycle is growing. And I think what they were really trying to show is that it's an amazing opportunity to work in AI and innovate here. I think what I'd love to share, and what I think would be great to think about, especially while you're listening to this and while you're at this conference, is what are some opportunities to do AI for good, or to use AI for good. So for example, there are biotech companies using AI to research new cancer innovations. There's a great company I just met with that does wildfire detection. So they're really trying to save lives, save the environment. So there's some amazing opportunities out there to really learn about and help the community. So I would suggest thinking about different issues that you care about, ways that you might want to serve your community. Think about what solutions could be made using AI or machine learning, or Gen AI even, in order to make that change. And then start looking at different companies, different nonprofits, where you might want to help, where you might want to make a difference in the world. It could be really impactful.
That's such great advice, Priyanka. Thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. It's been a fascinating conversation on how AI is transforming customer engagement from personalization and trust to leadership and innovation. And thanks to everyone for joining us for this fireside chat. I hope you found this discussion as valuable as I did. Priyanka, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've had people from all over join us today. And before we go to the next phase, where we have our reception and showcase over at McVeigh, I just wanted to ask the alumni of the Leadership Institute to stand up. Of course, Michael is here. All of you stand up. I can still kind of order you around, David Turnick, Corey, and I'm going to have to say this, Humphreys, I know her as Corey Smith, but they do this thing to me. They get married and change their names, which is confusing. And Michael Amoa, and Rebecca is here, and Casey is here. So for the students, ask them questions. They were in the same program as you, and they're out in the real world. And, ask them what it's really like. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to go over to the McVeigh Data Science Building, which is very new. And in the lobby, our students are going to set up to tell you about their ideas. And as I mentioned before, we told them, come up with ideas in the future. You don't have to be able to do it now. In all your regular classes, like capstones, you have to actually do the thing. No, we want your ideas. And we want you to have fun. So it's relaxed and it's enjoyable. We want lots of talking with one another. So thank you all so much, and thanks so much to all of you that have joined us virtually. It means a lot. And let's reconvene over at McVeigh. If you're not familiar with how to get over there, the students would be happy to help you. And we even have, thanks to Caleb, we have a very fancy extended reality stage, like they do in the movie places. And he has created that on that stage to tell you about the student programs. So enjoy yourselves and have fun. Thank you all again.